China is sending shockwaves through global corridors of power once again. In a striking move, President Xi Jinping has made a direct, forceful call to the People's Liberation Army: get ready for war. His message to the top military brass is clear: prepare for real combat scenarios. As tensions flare in hotspots like Taiwan, the South China Sea, and along the Indian border, the world is left asking: is China preparing for conflict, or is this just strategic posturing? Xi Jinping's message came during a high-profile military conference in Beijing, where he reiterated the need for the Chinese military to bolster its combat readiness. Tone was uncompromising, with Xi urging the army to focus on real warfare conditions. The statement, while not the first of its kind, comes at a particularly tense time. China has been ramping up military exercises in the South China Sea, conducting naval drills that are hard to ignore, especially for its neighbors and the West. More importantly, this statement came just days after Beijing conducted large-scale military exercises around Taiwan. But why now? Analysts say this call is not just about military strategy, it's about projecting power. Under Xi Jinping's leadership, China's foreign policy has become more assertive, challenging US influence in Asia and flexing its muscles in territorial disputes. More notably, Beijing continues to claim sovereignty over Taiwan, despite the island's de facto independence. Chinese warplanes regularly breach Taiwan's air defense zones, and Xi's government has made it clear that reunification by force, if necessary, is not off the table. The South China Sea is another flashpoint. China's aggressive island building and territorial claims have alarmed many of its neighbors, including Philippines and India. Beijing insists these moves are defensive, but its massive military presence in these contested waters tell a different story. With US military patrols increasing in the region, including recent naval operations as part of the Freedom of Navigation exercises, the South China Sea is becoming a potential tinderbox. And let's not forget the Quad, a strategic alliance between the US, Japan, Australia, and India, aimed at countering China's growing influence. The Quad nations are tightening their military and diplomatic coordination, with more joint exercises and talks about standing up to China's rise. In response, China has condemned these moves, labeling them as attempts to contain its development. The rising tension isn't just limited to Asia. Xi's call for heightened military readiness has also raised concerns about China's relationship with the West. US-China relations are already strained, from trade wars to dispute over human rights and cyber espionage. A more aggressive military stance from Beijing could worsen an already fragile relationship. So what's the real endgame? Is China truly preparing for war, or is this a high-stakes game of geopolitical chess? Some analysts argue that Xi Jinping's rhetoric is more about bolstering domestic support and consolidating his power as he heads into an uncertain economic period for China. After all, military strength has long been a pillar of the Chinese Communist Party's legitimacy. By projecting an image of a strong, combat-ready China, Xi may be attempting to unify the country and strengthen his grip on leadership as he embarks on an unprecedented third term. China's economy has been slowing, and there's been unrest in various sectors. By shifting focus on national defense and military strength, Xi Jinping could be distracting the country from the economic and social challenges. While the world debates whether China is preparing for war or is simply flexing its military muscles, one thing is clear: the stakes are higher than ever, especially at a time when the world is already reeling from an all-out conflict in West Asia. President Xi Jinping's call for the army to prepare for real combat doesn't just impact the region, it impacts global peace and security. With global superpowers watching closely, the next move by China could redefine the balance of power in Asia and far beyond. Bureau Report, India Today Global.